We all appreciate the complex aromas and the flavors that make a great wine truly memorable. Notes of ripe berries, a bit of vanilla, some spices here and there. It's a little bit earthy, perhaps a touch of cinnamon. But what if I told you there's a microscopic organism that can dramatically alter these characteristics and destroy essentially a wine, sometimes for the better, because yes, it does add a little bit of complexity, but sometimes it just annihilates the flavor, the profile of a wine, and that's bad. Hello, bonjour and welcome to your new Bonheur Private Wines video, brought to you by the best wine club in America. I'm your host, Julien Michael, Bordeaux-trained French winemaker turned wine YouTuber. Today, we delve into the fascinating and often debated world of Brettanomyces bruxellensis. I know it's a complex scientific word, but it's simply called Brett. A yeast only wine connoisseurs have heard about, but one that can turn your favorite Chateau wine from France into a really bad plonk. Your favorite Spanish Rioja can be the same, Napa Valley Cabernet, they can all smell really bad after Brett attacks. You need to know about it, so let's talk about it. What am I talking about? What are you talking about, Julian? This Brettanomyces bruxellensis, or Brett, as we affectionately call it in the wine industry, is a wild yeast, a natural inhabitant of vineyards and wineries around the globe, and its presence can be a double-edged sword. Unlike the carefully cultivated and selected Saccharomyces cerevisiae that we use for the primary fermentation of grape sugars into alcohol that we use to make fine wine at a winery. A great video about wild yeasts here, by the way, and why they make better wine than selected yeast. Watch this next. Brettanomyces is a more opportunistic microbe. It can lie dormant for extended periods within the wine, only to become active later in the winemaking process, particularly during aging in oak barrels. What you need to know as well is that when Brettanomyces takes hold, it produces a range of aromatic compounds. At low levels, these can contribute subtle complexity. It adds a bit of intriguing notes of leather, a bit of spice, barnyard, it's called sometimes, or even smoky bacon to a wine. Some winemakers intentionally manage Brett to achieve these nuances, particularly in certain red grape varieties like Syrah, where a touch of Brett character, as we call it, can be considered part of the regional typicity. Think of the classic Northern Rhone wines as well, the Côte Rôtie. That distinctive savory edge can often be attributed, at least in part, to controlled Brettanomyces activity. Some Bordeaux chateaus use a touch of Brett character as well. They used to have them quite a bit as well. It was this subtle funkiness that some tasters do appreciate in wine. However, the line between desirable complexity and undesirable spoilage is incredibly fine. When Brettanomyces proliferates unchecked in a wine, in a bottle, the resulting aromas can become overpowering and unpleasant. These Brett taints can manifest as volatile phenols, leading to aromas described as band-aid, horse sweat, or even fecal characteristics. These are generally considered faults that mask the wine's inherent fruit and, more importantly, the terroir. So the perception of Brettanomyces is highly subjective and has been a source of much debate in the wine world. Some consumers are highly sensitive to it, even at really low levels, finding them off-putting, while others appreciate this added complexity that they can bring, and it reminds them of the old style of the old wines of the old world. Well, this difference in perception has led to ongoing discussions about what constitutes a flawed wine versus one with character and personality. For example, I know that I personally, as experienced a winemaker as I am, I've made wine for 15 years all around the world. Well, I cannot smell Brett taint very well, and I know it. I just don't have very good nasal receptors for it. I know that I can smell cork taint from 10 feet away, but sometimes a wine that smells quite terribly of horse excrements to many fellow winemaker friends at a tasting, for example, just smells like a little bit funky to me, but not that bad. To me, it's going to be a wine with personality, and you need to know how much you smell it yourself. So that's how variable this smell can be from one person to another, and so sometimes this creates confusion while debating the quality of a wine. Somebody can smell this wine smelling horrible, but you smell it quite fine, and you can still smell the fruit through because you're not sensitive, and that's particularly true for these Brett taint. So know that we are not equal against Brett. And if you're enjoying this video so far, give us a like. It's totally free, but it does help us immensely making more of these free wine video content for you. So what do we do as winemakers for Brett or against Brett? Managing Brettanomyces is a constant challenge for any wineries. Winemakers are now extremely vigilant and aware of Brett, which wasn't the case so much before, because you can send out bottles of a perfectly good wine as a winemaker, that's what you're trying to do, only to find out that it smells bad when it gets to the customer after shipment through an ocean or a continent. So we employ various strategies to control Brettanomyces. Strict hygiene at the winery is very important. We carefully monitor the sulfur dioxide levels. If you want to learn more about SO2, this preservative that we use in winemaking, and everything you need to know about it, I made a great video that you can watch next right here. Also, the use of specific filtration techniques and even specialized yeast strains that compete with Brett can all play a role. So now we have modern DNA analysis that allow for early detection of Brettanomyces population in a wine, so we can use different techniques to counter them and make a great wine in the end. So now Brett is not so much a problem anymore as it used to be, unless you're a smaller producer and you use more rudimentary techniques like making natural wine, for example. But that's a totally different topic for another day, and actually I did make a video about it too. Next time you encounter a wine that has this subtle hint of leather, a bit of horse sweat or horse stable in the background, well, take a moment to consider the potential role of this microorganism that we call Brettanomyces bruxellensis. This is a wild card, literally, it's wild in the world of wine, capable of adding intriguing complexity on one hand, but if left unchecked, it can lead to undesirable taints. It's a testament to the delicate balance and the constant interplay of nature and human intervention that makes winemaking such a fascinating and nuanced art. You have nature, you have what we do as winemakers. Some yeasts are good, a little bit of those wild yeasts are good, but not too much. It's a very, very thin line and an overall balance, and that's what we love about it. Anyhow, now you know everything that you need to know about Brettanomyces. Now you know. That was it for me today. Take care. Drink safe and tasty. More videos that I talked about across these videos that you can watch next, and much more wine content on the channel. See you soon in the wonderful world of wine. Cheers.